Okay, I think we can start, no? So everyone can like open up their script file. Yeah, Jupyter Lab. Just open the Jupyter Lab and like the notebook file that I have shared. Yeah, we will start from the place where we in last time. So I think we have discussed yesterday. We discussed about the Python programming language. We discussed about the syntax that we can use and the type of data structures. And under the type of data structures, I think we discussed till tuples. So after the tuple, we have to go with the list compression. For this one, you know how to create a list. So if you are creating a list, you need to open like start by like creating like two box bracket. Inside the two box brackets, you can like type whatever the data type that you like to put within comma separated. So this is a simple list, like we created a string list, and then if I execute this command, what will happen? It will create the list for me. So to view this one, I can click on this debugging icon and see from the variables as well. It will show me the list which I created. And then for the list, we discuss about this one. If you need to do like access using the index, a specific variable, what will happen in this one? So if we execute this one, what will happen? String list 0. So string list 0 mean the first item in that list. So the first item in that list is things. So what will happen? I am saying string list 0 dot upper. So upper mean what? What will it do? You can it should capitalize this thing into capital form and save it in the list, because I am reassigning this one. I am reassigning. So I won't like, if I delete this part, what will happen? If I delete this part from the equation, what will happen? It will capitalize and show me, but the like not reassign into the same list. But if I type this one, what will happen? It will reassign that value into this place. So if I execute this, now if I view the list, I can see the first word is capitalized. And same thing, string list C upper for C in string list. So if I do this one, what will happen? So if I execute, what is it happening? So it's converting all the values in here into the case. And then also this is also a simple list. And now this is in here. I think we have loop. If I execute this one, is looping through x plus 6. If x is greater than 2, else x for x in a. So all the values in a, if it is greater than 2, then less than 2, it will add 6, and then it will keep repeat. Else it will display like same x value. So what will happen? 0 is less than 6, 0 is less than 2, so it will add 6. 0 plus 6 means 6, and then for 1 also it will do the same. Is less than 2, add 1, that means 7, but when it comes to 2, is false, so it will keep the same value for the rest of the values. And now we will discuss about the dictionaries. So for the dictionaries, we discuss about the tuples. So if you understand the tuples, we group the variables. No, we group the variables. This is like not yeah. When we discussing about tuples, we said like 1, 2. If we create a list, inside we can create something like this. Then 3, 4. Then 5, comma 6. Like this, we created something. Now we are going to replace this one with a word, so we can access that specific value using a. So when you are creating a dictionary, you have to start with brackets. So these things you have to remember, like if it is a list, it should be started with box bracket. If it is a dictionary, you have to start with brackets. And when you are starting, it's like this. First item in the list, instead of index, you can type a letter or a short command that you need to access that specific value using a and then semicolon 60. So instead of indexing, typically when we create the list, if we make something like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what will happen? This one will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of this, if we need to use, okay, instead of 0, I will use a. Whenever I type a, it should give me this value. So now we are going to do this. So when we need to do something like this, we can do it by using dictionaries. So you have to open it by using a double bracket, and then within the code you have to say whatever the name that you have to write. Like if you need to access the value, this is the value. Here is supposed to go the value, and here is supposed to go the name that you are going to access that specific value instead of index. So if I type a 5, then I can comma, and then I can say okay b, then value of b should be 6, and then comma. Likewise, you can mention your dictionary. So you can execute this one. If you execute this one, what will happen? It will create me a dictionary type data. So if I view the data set, it's showing me as DICT. So it's the dictionary type data. This one is list type data. So now if I need to access, last time we access using indexing. Now if I need to access the first element, like the first value of that list, the what we call the dictionary, how we can access it? Last time we say like, okay, in the list we say the variable name of the list, variable name, and then we say within the box bracket we mention the indexing value. Instead of indexing value, now we are calling for the value that we assign in that list. I shared it. Isn't the book? Okay, so if I execute this one, what will it give me? So value of A is 16. It should give me 60. So if I call for B, what will happen? You can replace the value in here. So B, it should be 4, 6. If I type this one 4, what it will give? It will give me the entire string that I have typed over there. So now if I type C in my dict, what will happen? So if I type in here C, it's showing false. Why? Because I didn't assign C in here. I say A, B, then who? No C. Instead of like we are checking whether the index is there. Like last time I mentioned, we can check whether the index is there or not by using this one. We are checking whether the index is not there or not. Now we are checking whether we have that value in that dictionary assigned or not. So if I type A, what will be the answer? This one should be, it should give me like true. It's to check whether the value is available or not. Now even if I type B, it should give me true. Even if I type foo, it should give me true. But if I type something else like CEO anything, it will give me false, because in my dictionary I only have A, B, and foo mentioned. So then if you need to get the items in that list, you can type your variable name that you have assigned for your dictionary type data dot items. So if you type this one, it give you the entire list with the the value do you assign and the calling name. So even if you type my dictionary, then your variable name dot keys, what it will happen? It will give you only the keys, the way that you can access each variable. So if you type your value, it will give you only the values. So this is the way, like this one you need to remember in, like when we are discussing NumPy, we will use this. Even in Pandas, we will use this. So just imagine if you load netcdf file, if you type your imported netcdf file.keys, it will show you all the variables over there in your netcdf file. You know, like netcdf is multi-dimensional data. So over there we can have lot of variables, not only a single variable. Yeah. If we type something like just imagine you imported an XADF file and type keys, it will give, if it is having like temperature, if it is a ERA5 data, you can get like daily temperature, daily minimum temperature, maximum temperature, precipitation, 2-meter temperature, everything will be shown. And then this is the way we discussed this earlier as well, how to access. If I type this one and B, it will give me the value. So if I type something else, my dictionary C, it will give nothing. This one is not giving nothing, because last time I typed C in my dict. I am asking whether there's a key named C in my dictionary type data. So it's giving me false. Now I am asking whether there's a value over there or not. So it will not show me anything because there's no any value. But if I type A, it should give me the value. So now if I type get A 401, what will happen? It will not show any, like not show me anything, the same thing. So if I type C, I delete the one comma. If I type C, it's showing me 401. Because last time when I type C in here, did it show me anything? No. So if I need to check whether if there's a value, just show me the value, or else show me this value. Because if you type shift tab is showing my dictionary get key, then default value, return the value of the key in the dictionary, else default. So if you type comma separated like default value in here, it will show that default value if the value is not there. Otherwise, it will show the actual value. So the next thing is conversion between the data structures. So now this one, what is this? A. is list, but all the values is strings. And then this one B is also a list, but all the values are in integer type because we don't have dot or anything. So all the values are in integer. So if I execute this one and ask type A, what it should give me? I'm asking about the data type. The output should be list because this is a list. It's not going for each and every individual single item on that list. So this one, C, within bracket, what it will happen? So it's creating an empty tuple, and then I'm saying tuple A. What will happen? It will go with all the items in the list and convert it into a tuple. If I ask type C, is saying tuple because now that list is converted into tuple because you can shift tab this one and see what it will happen. It's like building a mutable sequence. That means it's creating a tuple from a typical list that we assign. So now if I ask A, is still the list, and B is also still the list. Now if I type T station, dictionary, last time I discussed about this one, shipping, what it will do. If I say ship AB, what it will happen? I have two lists. If I say like ship AB, what will happen? This is combining. How it is combining? If it is like first one NKG and then CMB and then SH Shanghai and then B, I have values 20, 15, 15. So if I execute that code, SIP AB, now it's going to say like, okay, NKG, G, comma, then the value 20. Close and then open a bracket, then CMB, comma, 15, close the bracket and then last one, comma, 15, and then I am saying convert this one into the entire tuple, this entire tuple into dictionary because in the front I say DICT. First thing is it will try to execute this first command within these two box brackets. So it's shipping the entire thing and then converting it into a dictionary and assigning into this variable name. So now if I execute this one, it will create me a dictionary. So I am saying T stations. From here you can see the value of NKG is 20, value of CMB is 15, value of Shanghai is 15. So now if I type T station keys, what should be the output? I am asking about keys. So it should give me which one? If you change A and B, what will happen? You can try to do it. Just like change this one. So you can see what will happen. So if I change A and B, what will happen? So now if you view the T stations, it will like give me the like if I execute this one, let me execute the keys. Now the keys is 20, 50. But if I type the other way around, AB, now the key should be the station names. So this can be like the station name and the temperature value of precipitation. So just imagine you have two columns. First one is station name, second one is temperature or precipitation value. Now you need to make a tuple and then you can do the analyze. So for that thing, you can combine it using this shipping function and converting it into a dictionary. So when you convert it into a dictionary, it will be much easier. Just imagine if I type this one instead of keys, if I type uh, T underscore tab T stations dot values. Now it's giving me only the values. So the corresponding value for NKG should be 20, CMB should be 15, and Shanghai should be 15. Now I can access. So if I need to get the value of NKG, I can type T stations NKG. So what it should give me? The value of NKG should be over there as output. If I type CMB, it should give me 50. So this is the advantage of like the list. Here we discuss about the data types. Now we discuss about how many data types: float, integers, complex numbers, Boolean, strings. list, tuples, and then dictionaries. This one is this comprehension. This is what we use using the zip command. We use the zip command, no? So that's why we use the zip command. So you need to know about this, all the data types that we are going to use. And then we will go with the logical operators. So you will need logical operators when you are dealing with data, like whether the value is greater than, no, less than, no, equal, or it is not equal. So these are the logical operators that we are going to use inside the Python. So typically we will have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one is the greater than sign, and then greater than, no, equal, and then less than, no, equal, and equals to, and not equal to. So the typical output is or is not. So if I say x equal 5, what is happening? This one. At the very beginning we discussed is assigning a variable called x. The name of the variable is x, value is 5, and the data type is integer. We discussed it previously. Now if I need to view the variable, I say like there's two ways. One is to type the variable name directly. Other way is there's another one. How I can see the same thing. I can print this one. I can print this inside box bracket, the variable name. The same way you can see the variable that you have included. The other way is like by clicking this bug icon from here, you can see all the variables and everything that you have loaded inside your script. There are three ways. So now type x. If I ask this one, now it will be integer. So now this is also same, y equal 5, creating a variable, and type y, it also give me integer. So now same way I will view the y. Now if I ask this, what is this one? Equal mean is checking whether value of x is equals to y. It's not the other way around. It's checking value of x is equals to y. So now the output should be either true or false. But from here we know both values are same. So the output should be true. But if I change this one into 5 into 6 and ask again whether this is true or not, it will say is false. Last time I mentioned at the very beginning when I discussed in the Jupyter lab, I say this numbering is important. Now you can see this one is 50 and this one is 49, but this one is 46 because I didn't execute this one. After executing this command, I directly go for this one. So you have the option to control how these lines are executing. But if you are using Python directly, it will execute the code from beginning to the bottom, line by line. And now x is y. Now if I ask this one, it's also the same, whether x is y. So if I type y equal 5 point, now what's the type of data? It should be float. So if I ask whether x equals y, it's saying me true. But if I ask x is y, it's showing me no. Why? Because if you type is checking for both data type and the value. So to work this one, both of the variables should be in the same data type and the value should be also equal. Otherwise, it will give you false. So that's the main difference between this equal and is. So these are some common common way that we can do like comparison. So A equal 5 and B equal 6. So A equal B, the output should be false. Now this hyphen is like exclamation mark equal B is asking whether A not equals to B. So it's true because A is not equals to B. So now I am asking A is greater than 4 and then B is less than 6. And then I am asking N. So I can divide this one into 2. So let me divide this one into 2. A greater than 4 was the output true. So now if I divide this one, the other part should be b less than 6 false. Now I am asking this one whether this is true and whether this is true. If both are true, the final output should be true, because this one, the computer science student, they know the truth tables. If it is n, if you design this one like 3 values table, this one will be 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 1. So this one will be variable a, this one will be the variable o. We can see like 2 values, and then the final output 0 0, it should be 0 0 1, it should be 0. This one is also 0. If both is true, it should be true. So to work this one, both of output should be true. Now in here, b less than 6 is false. So the final output should be false. But if I change this one, the value of 6, this one into something else, it will give me as true. Now I am checking whether a is greater than 4 and b is greater than 6. So now what will be the output? It's still false. A is greater than 4, O. Now I am asking O. Is because either of these values is true, it should be true. This is not n, I am asking O. Either one of these expressions is true, the final output should be true. Then all and any condition between like Boolean. So this is, we are creating a list of integer. So now condition items greater than 2 for items in X. If I ask, see this one is checking items in the list of the items in this list. If it is greater than 2, is asking whether the item in the first item is greater than 2 or not. We will check whether it's true or not. The first item is greater than 2 is true. Then the second item in that list is greater than 2 is true. But this one, it will be false. It's not equal to 2, so it's greater than 2. And then 3 is true. This one is true. So now if I type all condition, it will false, because here is checking whether all the conditions are true or false. If it is all the conditions are true, it will be true. If it is all the conditions are false, it will be also true. Otherwise, if one condition is false, it will be false. And then any, if I ask any, it is like oh, if one of the thing is true, it will give me as true. But now if I type a equal true, what will happen? If I type a equal true, is creating a Boolean type data. So if I ask a type of a, what should be the output? Is Boolean. Now the same way I can see. Now if I ask not a, why is giving? Is giving me the opposite value of a. So if I type this one as false, if I type this one as false and ask not a, it should be the other way around. So those are the conditions when we are dealing with the conditions. Sometimes we will use this one when we are looping through, or when we are checking whether the value is same or not. Just imagine if you need to check a value of a specific station, whether this is like greater than or equal. Sometimes we are calculating like any index. At the end we will get the table. Now we need to get the years which are greater than that specific value. So we can loop through every item in that list and check whether it's greater than or equal and create another list. So we will use these kind of logical operators when we are dealing with such kind of scenarios. And then the next one is control flow structure. So I discussed this one, list range 20. What will happen? Range mean is creating an empty values, where I say, if I say 20, it will go from 0 to 90. But if I assign two values separated by commas, it will start from the first value and go till the last value. So now is converting, after is getting the values, is converting into a list. So final output should be a list with values from 0 to 90. And then this is a logical way that we can use for like looping for x in range 10. If x is less than 5, what should it be? Print x 2 stars mean power, x to the power 2. And if else, print the actual value. So now it will loop through first 10 values. It will loop through first 10 values and checking this thing. If I execute this one, what will happen? It's showing me the first value, whether is less than. So the 0 to the power 2 is 0. 1 to the power 2 is still 1. And 2 to the power 2 is 4. Then 3 is even is still less than 5. So it's 9. Then 4 it should be 16. But when it comes to 5, it's false. It's not less than 5. So if I type less than like equal in here, it will go for 5 as well. But here is not equal, only less than. So when it receives 5, it will print the default value of 5. And if I say 6 is also less than, 7 also less than, but in here it stop after 10 because I say go till the first 10 value. So here if I mention like 20, it will go through all the values in the list. So this is just a simple for loop and some other conditions that we are going to use in future classes. So for I in range 10, print I. What this one will give? For I, that means check the I value in range of 10 and print the value of I. So it will be create the empty list from 0 to 9 and it will start printing all the values in that value which we created. So this is some simple ways that we are going to set. If we need to stop something, we can set tab stop 4, then likewise we can create, and this is how we can create the looping. But when you are creating the looping, main important thing that you have to be careful is the indentation. If you are familiar with Python programming, one space can like give you a huge headache. So you have to check. If you put this if one space in front, it will give me error. So if I delete this one and try to execute, it's giving me an error. So the error is mentioning indentation error. So indentation error is if it is like not typically like correctly intended. So it should be in the way for loop should start from here and in from at the end. Then these are like logical conditions, whether it's checking one by one. So it should be in the direct order. If this if execute command is going to execute, this one should be, you should need to give a tab and like print the output. If I mention something like this, it's also giving me an error because the indentation is not properly designed. So you have to like be very specific when you are typing these loops. The indentation you have to be very careful. Even when you are designing your own functions, you have to think twice and like check twice your code regarding this indentation error. But it's okay when it's giving an error. The main thing is showing you the place as well. It's saying like else is not correctly indentation and identified doesn't measure out indentation level. So the main thing, if you're giving if you are getting an indentation error, you have to check for the spaces that you give for a specific loop or a function. And then this is also if else. So is going like cascading style. So first one, creating a variable x equal 5, and then if x is less than 10, is not less than 10. This one is like less than 10. If it is not met, then execute this command. If else if, okay, the first one is not true, then go for the second one. If first one is true, stop over there and terminate. If it is not, then go for the second one. So it will check for the second option whether x is greater than 10. If it is x is greater than 10, then execute this command. And then if nothing is true, execute this one. So this one will be the else command, that if these both of the things not met, the criteria are not meeting, this one should be executed. At very end, it will print the x. So if I execute this one, which command should like execute? X is equal 5. So x is less than 5. So it will execute this command. So the final output should be 5 plus 1, 6. So if I execute this one, it will print me 6. But if I type in here, if I type 10, what will happen? Now the first command, x is less than 10. No, if I type, let me type 11. So now you can check, no. So whether it's like less than 2. No. So second one, 10 is greater than 10. So 11 minus 1, 10. The final output should be 10. So if I type something 10, what will happen? Last one, because it is not less than 10, not greater than 10, but it's 10. Because I didn't say like whether x equal to. If I type less than or equal, then it will execute either one of these commands, where I'm going to type equal command. But since these two doesn't have any equal sign, it will execute the final one. So it will be like 10 times 2, 20. So it will print 20. And the same thing. Now I have two other factors to check as well. If I go with this one, x equal 12, now the first logical thing is check whether x is greater than 5, whether x is greater than 5, and then if the x is less than 8, then the final output should be, if it is true, execute this command. Now is checking whether the x is greater than 5 and x is less than 12. If it is so, execute this command. If it is true, execute this command. Otherwise, go with this one. So what will happen? Here I have the value of 12. So if the first one, it will check this one, whether x is greater than 5 or not. Is it greater than 5 or not? Whether this is yes or no. You have to say like true or false, 1 or 0. Is yes, is greater than 5, and then whether is less than 8 is false. So I am asking n. If one of these is false, the final output should be false. So it will not execute because it is false. And then else if x is greater than 5, yes, is less than 12, no, it's not equal. So this one is false. Final output is false. So it will not also executed. This one will be executed. So if I say 12 minus 1, 1. If I type in here 10, what will happen? It will go into the second one. It met the second criteria, so it will multiply this one by 3 and show me 30. So if I go with this one, it should be greater than 5 and less than 8. So the value should be in between 5 and 7. So if I type 6, this one will execute 6 plus 1, 7. So this is how you can create a logic. Just imagine if you need to filter your data into specific like 3 different or 4 different. Because here you can mention another values like else if. You can type lot of else ifs. Tell me. So what x equal 12? This one. No, it's not executing this one because it's not equal. So if we put equal, then it will execute. Because equal is count as true. If it is not, it's not going to say, okay, this is not true. So this is like you have to think about your own thing. Like when you are filtering out the data, you are the one who going to design this one. This is just an example. You have to create your own logic. Sometimes you can say like, okay, and even you can add more, and so it will check three like criteria. If all the criteria are true, then it will execute something. Instead of typing this one, x equal x plus 1, you can export that data. Okay, if it is true, export that value into a different array or something. So you can develop this one like more. And also in here also you can have another if else condition under this section. So it will check for that criteria as well. So you can create more. Like if you need to create another one, you can type else if. At the very end, you need to have else. If and else, in between, you can have multiple else if conditions. So for the for loop, this is the simple way that you can create a for loop. Count equals 0 and the x equal range 1 to 10. What will happen? So it will create a variable named count. The default value will be 0 in integer format, and then it will create x from range in between, a list range in between 1 and 9. No, it's actually getting the starting value as well. If I type something like this, let me copy and put this one in above cell and enter x. It's not giving me anything, no? Oh, so I didn't convert this one. The values will be like, you can think like, okay, values will be, if you go with the like their default thing, it's showing range for producing this value. And if it is 0 to 1, typically it should, let me convert this one into a list, then you can see. See, it's going from 1 to 9. So first value will be there, but the end value is not a count. So now if I execute this one, what will happen? For I in x. So it will loop through all the values in x and count equal plus 1. So what will happen? Plus equal. Plus equal mean if I expand plus equal, what will be happen if I expand this one? Count plus equal 1, I can expand this one. This is the short form. If I expand count plus equal 1, how I can expand this one? This is the short form. We discussed this one at the very beginning. If I expand this one, it will be count equal count plus 1. So what it is doing? So the first value of count is 0. So first value of this range is 1. So it will account for the first value, and then value of count is 0. 0 plus 1, 1, and assign the new variable for the count. It will be 1, and it will print the value. So it should be 1, and then it is go for the second value. So the second value will be 2. Then the previous value of count is 1 plus 2 is 3. So it is getting the sum of all of these values in the list. So if I execute this one, what will happen? It is showing me the first value will be 1. After the first value, the second value is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. Then the value of count will be 3. And the next value in the list is 3. Then 3 plus 3 is 6. And then next value in the list is 4. Then 6 plus 4 is 10. Then the next value in list is 5. Then 5 plus 10 is 50. So likewise, it will like loop through all the values in this list and print the value, because in here I type the print command. Once it do the calculation, it should print and then go for the loop again till the end. Here I can mention, instead of like going for all the values, I can say stop here. I will discuss it as well. For loop, we can like stop. If we need to like say, okay, stop at this like this index, we can mention, oh, okay, if you met this criteria, stop executing the for loop. So we can mention that thing as well. In here, you have to think is the looping structure of the for. And then try and catch. This one is exception. You have to try this one, whether this is true or not. If you cannot handle this one, this is like exceptional. When you are developing a code, if code crashes, it will give you like something, okay, this is crashing. So instead of showing the actual output, you can say like, okay, this is the error. Then you can recognize, okay, I developed this part, the try catch in this specific part of the code. So I know, okay, this is the one where it is failing, because you can specify, okay, this is the error. That's why we are using trying and catching. So you can see the generalized form is like text. So this one, what is this? We discussed. It's a tuple, because we created this one within brackets. So if it is within brackets, it's a tuple. If it is within box bracket, it's the list. If it is within curly brackets, it's a dictionary. So those things you have to keep in your mind when you assign this. So this is a tuple, and then for t in text. So all the values in text try temp equal float t. So it will try to convert these values into float and then print the values. If the error is occurred, it is saying it is not convertible to a float. So in here, which value is not convertible into the full float, it will give, okay, this is an error. If it is convertible into the float, it will convert it into a float type data and show, okay, this is the value. So if I execute this one, you can see A is not convertible because A is string type. String type we cannot convert into float because it's not number. It's not in number format. But if I convert 1, I can convert 1 into floating value using 1.0. If I convert this one 54.1, I can do it. But if I go into the third value, I cannot, because it's 43.8. There's a string symbol, so it's not going to convert. And even for the NKG, it will not. So it will execute this one. So here I am showing, okay, string t, convert this one into a string, and plus I discussed, when you are adding two strings, you can use plus sign, because this one is also a string, this one is also a string. Then in the final output, it will show, okay, the value of this one plus is not convertible into the float. You can see is not convertible into the float in here, is also in here, is also in here. First value is the items in this tuple list. So if you need to know about these exceptions, you can click this link and view the tutorial in the Python, because in the Python they mention about these things in build expressions. So the documentation, if you go into the documentation, you can see in the Python documentation. Which one? This one? Float t, because here I am saying for t. So when you are creating for loop, you have to say like, okay, in for loop, when you are looping, this should be the index value. This is another variable in the for loop. In text mean this is the one I am going to go through. So what it will be do, like it will show like, okay, all the values in the text. So I discuss about indexing. No, first index is 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is the variable in the for loop. For the first instance, it will assign t equal temp 0. For the second instant in the for loop, because for loop is like going through the looping. No, this is the one we are going to control the loop. So it will check from first value to the very end value, because we didn't mention it, like stop the loop at this value. T you can like instead of t you can like use any value in here. If I a, that's the controlling thing. So the variable, actual variable value will be a. So in here it should be a if it is a, because in the for loop, now what I am doing is going with the for loop. No, if I am going with the for loop, I have the variable text in here as within brackets a and then 154 or something like this I have. But in here I know I have index 0, index 1, index 2, likewise I have. Now I need to go through each and every individual item in this list. So in for loop, I have, for this one is the looping index. So I can assign a variable in here. If I assign a, okay. If I assign a, now what will happen? In, I can say text. If I say text, what it is doing, is saying like, okay, a equal text 0. For the very first time, it will be a equal 0. And then it will execute the command. It will check the command that I have mentioned underneath. So the underneath I will say temperature convert into float T. So what is the first value it's going to assign? So T equal temp first index. So it's checking this value. So the first index value is A. And then the command I mentioned is convert temp equal float T. So the value of T is A. So now it will try to convert that value into floating point. It can't convert that value into floating point because it's a string type. String type we cannot convert into float. So what will happen? It will go for it's the exception. So it will say, okay, string T, value of T is A is equal, the other part of the string is not convertible to float. Now it will go for the second element in the list. So now it will go for the second element. Temp 1. That's why we use T. Likewise, it will go till the end. So if I type in here, if I type A or something, inside the loop, if I am calling for that one, these all the values should be A. Otherwise, it will give me a different error. See, it can't access. But if I type A in here, now we know, okay, I am asking about this value. So no matter what, in here, if you say flow for I, for A or something, you have to use that value inside your loop. So that's actually saving each and every single individual value and checking, because you need to pass the value into the condition. No? So it will go through one by one. It's like A, first one is A equals 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is like when you are designing like your own function. Just like last time I say, you guys, like we can see the docker string of the functions, no? I say like, okay, if I need to see the docker string of this function, I can hit shift tab. But these all the functions are inbuilt. When they are developing these functions, they put this docker string inside their file. Now, okay, what if we create our own function? We can also create our own function to do something. So if we need to create our own function, what is the way that we are defining? For the defining, we are defining a function. So the first one will be def. Then put a space, then your function name and the arguments that you are going to pass. This is the structure when you are creating your own functions. So first we have to define this is a function. If you see def at the very end in yellow color, green color, it is meaning is a function. It's a function that that guy has created. Someone has created, and then the name of the function, and then the arguments that you are going to pass inside of this function, and then you can type within these 3 commas. I say if you type something, you can type multiple lines. This is typically the docker string, and then if you have any outputs, you can use return command to send that output back from that function. So here what I am doing is I discussed this one at the very end, writing module.py. This is like creating a Python script using inside my Jupyter lab. So it will create an empty mymodule.py file inside this directory. Right now I only have print upper pi because at the very end of this script I execute that command. At the very end, very beginning I execute this one and show you guys this example. So here also I write this one as print upper pi function. So now it should create mymodule.py. If after I execute this one, right now I didn't execute, that's why I don't have a number in here. After I execute this one, it should create a new file named mymodule.py is script file. Now what I am doing is pi equal, this is like defining variable pi. So it will assign this floating point value into this py file, and then from NumPy import arccos. In NumPy library, this is like when you are importing libraries. Now I am importing NumPy. So from your environment, you should have to like if you are in your inside your environment. At the very beginning, I discussed how you can create an environment inside your Anaconda environment. So now we are using IMSA VY environment. From that environment, import NumPy library, and from there import arccos. Inside NumPy library, we have a function called arccos. It's like the cos inverse function, and now I am defining, okay, define function f, and so here I can show the doctrine. So whenever if I need to show, okay, if I import my module.py, see, after I creating this one, I am importing my module because I have my own Python script. From that script, import that script as m. So if I type m dot something, I can see all the function names. See, m dot f should like access this function. So if I type this, let me execute this one so I can explain you guys know. So you guys can execute this one. So after executing, you say, okay, this one is saved into your current directory. So if I refresh this one, now I have my module.py file in the place where I have the script as well. So you guys also need to execute this one. Then you guys can like see what I am doing. Then I am importing two modules. One is from NumPy, one is from the script that I created. So for the script that I created, the name is my module. So import that my module as m. So whenever I need to access all the functions, so how many functions are there in this script I created? No, I mentioned like if it is beginning from def, it should be a function. So I have one function and like I have two functions in my module. But in NumPy, if I import NumPy, over there I have a lot of modules that the guys who develop NumPy create. But in here I only have two functions. So now I am importing my module as m. If I type m dot, how many functions would I see? Only two, because over there I have two functions. So now I am importing my module as m, and even I am importing NumPy as np. So this will only import those two modules. After importing, if I see on this debugging icon, it should show me there's two modules have been imported. So let me untick this one and tick it again. So see, I have module name np and other one I imported as m. So there's another module in the variable list. So now if I type dirm, it is giving me all the functions. There's two ways. If you type dir, you can see all the functions. And the other thing, if I type help m, it is showing the helper function. So here I said help m. So in my module, if there's a help function, show that function. So in here it's showing fx. This is a function which adds 5 to its argument. So I mentioned this one in here. So actually that's the docstring. So if I clear the output, let me clear this output so you can see the rest. No, otherwise you cannot see. Clear cell output and clear this cell output. So if I type this one, what will happen? Like the same way, if I type m dot, I discuss about this one. If I type m dot and hit tab, what it show me? It is showing me all the functions inside of that script. So in here I have arccos, f, g, and pi. So pi is a value, arccos is also a value. These two will be functions because from here you can see. But if I go into the script, you can see it's actually true. I have py variable, and then from NumPy I import arccos. So that thing is also there, and then I have two functions which I define. So f is a function, g is a function. Okay, now if I need to import f function, now I need to know the docstring of this one. So how I can see the docstring of this one? Shift tab. So if I shift tab, it is showing me this is a function with that 5 to its argument. So what will happen if I delete this one and execute this command? Let me copy this one and execute. Now overriding is overridden. Now I will import those two libraries. And now if I need to check the docstring, I type this one and shift tab. Let me delete, I think it's not synced. Let me delete this one. So the value is not there, so I have to write the same function again. So I will write the same function again. So now it's writing, and now import this one, and then if I type shift tab, still it's in the cache. I think that's why it's showing me this one. If I type BIRM, it's also showing me the functions. If I execute help, it is still showing me. Yeah, it is still showing because this one is saving in the cache. That's why I think it's showing me. Yeah, it's still showing me because this one is still in the cache. So typically, if I delete this one, if someone try to restart the kernel, let me restart the kernel. So if I restart the kernel, I think it will work. Let me restart the kernel and delete this one, this file. So I don't have any my module file. So I will try to create that my module file and then import it again. Now you see numbers have been resetted. In here numbers have been resetted. Last time it was 100 or something. That means if you see like 1, that means you have restart your kernel. So now it is running from the beginning. There's no cache, nothing. So now if I import this one and see, let me clear the cell output. Yeah. So I restart the kernel because last time you guys see here I had the docstring file. So here I have that docstring file. No? Now after I execute this one, it is saying overriding my module py. Okay, it is overridden this file, and you can see it's created just now, even the type. So now if I import this one and see whether I have a docstring in here or not, it is still saying no docstring. Is why even like in web pages sometimes whether you have an internet connection or not, it is showing you the web page because it's saving that thing in a cache memory. Inside the cache, you have loaded that all like that web page already. So that's why whether you have an internet connection or not, it is showing. Same like that in Jupyter Notebook also, it is saving these things in the cache. So if you need to clear the cache, what you have to do is you have to restart your kernel. When you restart your kernel, you will see all the variables and everything in here will be gone. So if you restart the kernel, that cache memory is also clearing. So that's why I clear this cache memory, because right now I mentioned this docstring. No, even though I created this docstring and asked the king whether the docstring is over there or not, it is showing me no docstring. Why? Because this one is still is loading that my module py from the cache. So to clear this one, I need to go into the kernels and like restart the kernel. So that's why I'm restarting. So after restart, the numbering will also be changed. So if I execute this one, the number is going to be 1. Now if I import this one and ask whether the function in the file that I import as m, my module, does it have a docstring? So now it has a docstring. So now it is showing me. So docstring, when you are assigning a docstring, you have to put it in these 3 commas. This is like when you are creating your own function. I am not asking about the custom, like the default function. When you are creating your own function, you have to put your docstring. See, when you are assigning a function and you need to, if you giving this function to someone else, this script to someone else to run their own code, you need to put a docstring in here so they can understand, okay, this is the things that this guy is going to discuss in this function. So you can put your docstring file in here. So what I am saying, okay, this is a function which add 5 into the arguments that you are giving. So no matter what, if you pass an variable into this one, it will try to add 5 and return. So it will return x plus 5. So if this function is called as like, okay, this one I am calling like m.f, no, m.f, if I within bracket pass a value, okay, m.f I am passing 5. So what will be the output? So the function name is adding 5. No matter the value I am passing, it will add 5 and show the output. So if I execute this one, what will happen? It should give me 10. So to view all the directories like this, the functions inside the module, you can type dir. Now you need to know about these few things. Dir and then dot. If you type your imported module short form and like tab, not shift tab. If you press tab, it will also show you all the functions over there. For the M, I have only these functions because in M module, that's the module which I created. But if I type np dot, what will happen? If I type np dot, instead of m dot, if I type np dot and hit on tab, now it is showing me all the functions inside that NumPy module. So over there, they have like lot of functions. But in the module that I created, in the script that I created, I only have one variable and another library, which another function that I imported, and another function which I created, and then two functions and two variables. That's why I see after typing this one, I only see arcos fgpi, because in my script I only have these ones. So if I type dir within bracket the function name that you like imported as m, it will also show you all the files. In here you see the cache, this one, that this is because of this one I restart the kernel. Whenever you create your own function and try to import this one, you have to restart your kernel. So if I type dir np, what will happen? It will print all the functions over there and like show me in the NumPy library. So for all of these functions, no matter what, if I call, they have their own docstring. So they also created the same script like this and save it over there. But their script is very low. That's why you have like numerous functions like this. So the same way you also can create your own library like this and then save it as a py module, and then you can import your own library according to your need. Then let me say I think you guys understand this one. No, the main thing that you need to understand when you are creating a function, this is the structure of the function. So for the docstring, you have to type everything. If you deleted this one, there will be the function, but if some guy try to view the docstring, there will be no in docstring because you didn't create the docstring for that specific function. So when you are assigning a docstring, you have to assign it using these three commas. Same way like we say, like if you need to like assign a string variable, we discuss. So why we are using three commas? If you need to have multiple lines, not a single line. That's why we are using three commas. So then help m, if I type help m, it will show me the helper function. That means all the docstring files in my module which I imported. If I type help np, so it will take some time and it will print all the docstring files for all the functions in the NumPy library. So it's taking that much time. That's why it's because last time you see it has like lot of functions. So if I ask something like this, it will take some time because it need to like read all the docstring files and show it in a output cell. So see, this is a long output. It is showing the entire docstring file of all the functions inside the NumPy library. So I will clear this output. No need. So that's the way that you can see some functions in the libraries that you have created or you imported. So dir and then helper function. There's like two ways. And this is the way that you can access. And some module.arcos. If I type this one, what will happen? I discuss about this one. If I put the question mark, it will print the docstring. Last time I also like I am keep repeating this one because you need to view like sometimes when you are importing a module and a function from another place, You don't know what are the module, like what are the data type or what are the data that it is accepting as argument and what that function is doing. So there are three ways to view the docstring: comma, shift tab, and the other one is contextual helper. So either of these ways you can use. If I type this one, it will show you like some module arc is not found. Because why? Some module arc. I am asking some module arc because I don't have that some module. I imported this one as n, not m, as not as some module. So I need to call m. If I type m dot arc, what will happen? It should show me the docstring. If I type this, it will show me the docstring because I imported it as m. So when you are importing variables, this one will come with the next stage. So when you are importing any variable into your Python, first step is you need to import all the libraries. So import your library name. This is the actual name of that library. But if the library name is solo, you need to say like, okay, import this one as this short form. Here you can type anything. But when you are accessing this library, you need to remember this name because this is how you are going to, it is like a pet name. So this is the pet name that I have given for this library. Whenever you are calling for this library that you have imported, you have type is pet name. If you didn't put this part as, then you can access from the directly. Let me clear this L output as well. And then if I type MPI, the Python value is like the PI value is there because I call this one. If I type help m.f, it should also give me the helper function of f. And then if I type m.f 10, what will happen? It will execute. For if you see the docstring file, I am calling for importing the module name m. Inside that module, I have function called f. Now I am passing the value 10. So at the end, it should add 5 and return me that value. So the output will be printed in here 50. So now in my module, the one that the module I created another function g. So it is accepting two values. So I cannot pass only one value. If I pass only one value, it will give me an error. So now what I am trying to do is I am asking for the helper function. So it is saying this is a function which sums is two arguments. So I need to pass two arguments. If I only pass one, what will happen? It is saying me an error, missing one requirement, positional argument y. So this is the way that you can even read the error. So by reading the error also you can identify it, okay, this is the issue because it is showing by this arrow pointing at MG10. The issue is with this line over here. The main issue is missing one requirement, positional argument. Now you can see the docstring. In the docstring they say you need to pass two values. So I have to pass two values comma separated. If I send 20, at the end what will happen? In the docstring is saying it summing two arguments. So if I execute this, it will be 30. Now I am also saying for my module import f. Now what will happen? Now I am saying for my module import f. Now I am importing only one function, not all the functions, only one function. I only need to import function name f. If I type f, it will show me, okay, if f is this. Now I am not importing the entire, like all the functions in that library. I am directly importing one function. Same thing I have done in here as well. If you see in here, I am saying from NumPy import arcos. But if I type import like from NumPy import import NumPy as something, it will import all the libraries in NumPy. If I type that document like after executing this one, importing my module m, here I should see these two functions along with all the functions in NumPy. You can try to do it. If you do it like something like this, if you say import NumPy and delete this part, import NumPy as NP or something, or if you leave this part and import, what will happen? It will import all the functions in NumPy and add these two functions and save it into a script file. So when you are loading that script, it will show you all the functions in NumPy along with the two functions that you created. But if you need to specifically import only one function, you can do this as a from NumPy, from module, import only the f. So if I say f equal 5, you know it's adding 5, and then import some module as sm. If I type some module as ff, what will happen? So I have to execute this one, I should have this py in the same directory. So let me delete this one. If I delete this, what will happen? If I delete this my module and try to import this one, what will happen? Now I will delete this file and try to import some module as SA. Now it's giving me error because why? I don't have that script file in the same location. So you need to have that file as well in your same location. Just imagine you copy a code from someone and it is giving error like this. And if, when you try to see whether this module is there in Conda Forge or Conda, you will never show because this one is the function that I created. So you have to contact the guy where you get the code to send that script file as well. So next thing, it's also same. I'm calling, if I import this one correctly, it should be same. From there, call this function. So let me execute this command again and create the script file. So let me save this file again. Okay, now the file is there. I will import these libraries, this one, and then import this one as same. SMF. So now do some function. What is this one is doing? Now it is creating a new function inside my script. It is not saving as a separate script. Inside my notebook, it is creating a function. So if I execute this one and see all the variables from here, so I have one function in here because I executed this one. It will be the function name is some function. So now if I need to call for this function, I can directly call the function name, and over there I should have how many values? So if I type only this, it will accept these two values, the first two values, 2, 3. So what will happen? It will assign for A and B. So C will be 5 and D will be this value because it's the default thing. So I don't need to pass 4 variables. Even though in the function I have 4 variables, you can see only A and B is the one with empty. But by default, C and D have 2 values. So in this function, if I send only 2 arguments, it will accept. Even I can send 4 arguments, 4 values. If I send like 4 values, what will happen? It will replace these 2 default values with the values that I am providing. So right now it is taking only the first 2 values. So A is 2, B is 3. So A plus B is 5. And here I have the value for C. 5 times 5 is 25. And then this one is scientific notation. You know, 1 E is 1000. Then multiply it by 1000. So the final output will be 25,000. Now, if I pass 2, 3, and even I am asking, okay, replace the C value with the value that I am going to provide. C equals 9 and D equal 0.1. So what it will happen? 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 times 9, 45, and then 0.01, 0.45. So this is the way. Either you can like create your all the functions and save it into a script file and then load that thing as a module and use the functions, or you can create your own function in your Jupyter notebook, inside the notebook, and call for that function. But when you are creating the function inside your notebook and calling for that function, you don't need to type your module name dot the function name. You can directly call for that function, because in here we define function, some functions, then the argument that this function is accepting. But in here I don't have a docstring. So if I type this one, I can see I don't have a docstring. So how we can add a docstring for this one? So how we can add a docstring into this function? So I can click enter, I can put 3 commas and type in here whatever thing that I need to type. So this is a function. Blah blah blah. I can type whatever the thing. Even if I need to provide example, I can put enter and I can say, okay, if you provide something like this, it will return this value. So now if I execute this one, it is showing me an error. What is the error? So I have 4 instead of 3. So now I hit shift tab, I have the docstring. So whenever you call for a function, you need to have your docstring inbuilt into that function, otherwise it will not show. But if you are using for your own purpose, you don't need to memorize you, because you know you are the one who created the function. But if you are sending this script to someone and that guy try to view the docstring, if the docstring is not there, that means he didn't type the docstring for that function. So main thing you need to remember is this one. When you are defining a function, your own function, this is the structure. First you have to type define and then your function name and then the arguments, then you have to put semicolon and then you have to structure your function. First it will be the docstring using these 3 commas and then you can type your function, and then if you need to return something, you can type return this output. So that's the structure. So same way, now here I am defining a function, define some function a comma b and return a plus 1, b plus 1, a times 3. So it will accept 2 variables, but for the output it is giving me 3 outputs. Last time only 1 output is there, because I am saying okay, result is this and pass the result. So it will only give me 1 output, but in this function it is accepting 2 variables and passing 3 functions. So if I execute this one, the function is created, and then if I say x equals some function 2 comma 3, what will happen? What it will happen? Now it's created x. X is in tuple format because I have 3 functions at the end, not a single value. So if I type this one, it should be tuple. So if I type something like this, what it will happen? Now it's converted into a list, because I know from this function I will get 3 outputs. So the 3 output will be in tuple format. If I need to convert into list, I have to use list command. So it will convert into list type. And now this one, if I need to view all the values, I discuss like either x or print x. It will show me all the values, because in here I passed the value 2 and 3. So a plus 1 is 2 plus 1, it is 3. So b plus 1 is 3 plus 1, it should be 4. And then a times b is like 2 into 3, it will be 6. So abc is some function 2 comma 3. So if I do something like this, what will happen? Now what will happen? I am saying like a comma b comma c. So I am assigning 3 variable name a comma b and c. So all the output will be assigned in the order. So the first output will be 2 plus 1, 3. So it is assigned for a. Then b, it comes to b. So 3 plus 1, 4. 4 is assigned for b. And c is the last one. 6 will be assigned for See, this is like creating 3 variables at once and assigning 3 values into this one. If I delete this one, what will happen? If I say like a comma b, some function 2, 3, what will happen? If I try to execute this, it is showing me this error. Too many values to unpack. Expected 2. So what is the issue? So it is saying me a comma b some function 2. In here I have the issue is expected 2 values. Okay, 2 values are there, but in here 1 value is missing. So I need to type actually 3 variables. If I type 4 variables, what will happen? If I type 4 variables, it's also giving me an error. Not enough values to unpack. That means output has more values, like output only have few values, but you assign lot of variables. So there's no any enough values to assign. So now if I type 3, it will assign in the order. If I type A, it should be, because the first value is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. So the value of A should be 3. So the value of B should be the second output. So the second output will be second input plus 1, 4. The third one will be A times B, 2 times 3 is 6. So if I say something like some function 2, 3, it will also execute it, but this one is not saved into any variable. This is just is showing the output, is not assigning or doing anything into the output. So these are the basics of the Python. These are like basics of the Python, not with the libraries. Like when you are calling for the libraries, you know these libraries also developed by these guys the same way like this, but the script is much more longer. It's not this much shorter. So it is consist of like multiple lines, maybe like 10,000 or 20,000 lines. So they put this one into a library, so we will import that thing and use it. But they also created their library using this same technique. But the advantage is we don't need to create that entire function. What we will do is simply importing that one from the community-based environment, Conda host. That's why at the very beginning I say you also can create your own library. If you know about programming, you also can create your own library and upload it over there. And if someone like, they can download the same library and use it. So this is the basics. So that means now you know about, I think you know about these things like the very basic variable, like the main thing that you need to know is the data structures: float, integer, complex numbers, booleans, strings, list, tuple, and then dictionaries. And the other thing is the logical operator, the main logical operators that we have. And then next one is controlling flow structure. Looping, we have loops, and then if else, and even we have try catch. Then the recycling. If you need to use the same code, why we are creating functions? Why we are creating function? I forget to discuss this thing at the very beginning. The main reason why we are creating function is why. No, if we need to do the same calculation again and again inside our code, we don't need to do the same thing again and again. We can create it as a function and call whenever we need, we can call for that function. That's the main thing we are creating functions for. Otherwise, we can create it like whenever we need, we have to create the function again. So it's better to create it as a function and call for that specific function. So it will simplify our code.